What's up, guys? So in the last episode we made this reservation component fully functional, and in this episode we're going to be implementing authentication to our hotel website using Clark. But before going into that, I just want to fix some little issues that I didn't discuss in the last video. So if you take note, you'll be seeing this NaN, so not a number. So the reason is because we're passing the total price, and the total price is only we only show if there is a number of room and number of days. So we only get that price once a date has been selected. So what we rather do now is to just show the base price here as well. So to do that, I will scroll down, and here I will say room just price. You can also make this to 0, so this just depends on your use case, so that this will be the starting price. And for this discount as well, we also want to do the same check like so. So I will just let me just write it out. So we'll say the discount should only show if there's actually a room dot discount, and that's greater than 0, and the total price is also greater than 0. So now we can show or display this discount. So if I save now, check back, you can see that nothing is showing now, which really makes sense. But once we pick a date like so, we should get this $24,000, and the percentage was applied, which I believe makes the user experience more better. So let's just go into what we have for today. So for authentication, we'll be using Clark. Let me just push this here. And if you don't know what Clark is, I have a ton of video about Clark. I even believe the first video on my channel was a Clark video, because I use them a lot and I just love how seamless it is to integrate to your application. And this video is not sponsored by them, by the way. But Clark is a comprehensive user management platform, and it provides you or gives you a set of pre-built components that you can integrate or add to your application. And those components are really nice, and they are also customizable. So I don't want to bore you with all the entire details. You can go to clark.com and just see through for yourself. And the cool thing about Clark is that if you don't want to use that pre-built component, they also have some set of flexible APIs that you can work with to come up with your own custom sign in or sign up components and what have you. So what we do is, first of all, make sure you have an account. I already have an account, so I will just go to a dashboard. All right, so what you will do next is to come here and create new application. So click on create application and give your application a name. So I'll call this stay light, I think it's stay light YT, so just call it like so. Then I believe for the finished version we just use only Google, so I think we'll go with that. So I will turn off the email, but you can turn that on. And there are also other social providers you can integrate as well, so there are a bunch of them, but I'll just quickly turn this off and click on create application. You do have a quick start guide, but I think this is for Next.js, but we're using Astro. So what we'll do is to just click on or select Astro, then we'll just follow this set of instructions. So the first thing we'll do is to copy this and go back to our code and make sure we open or go to a new terminal and paste that in. Alright, so that has been installed. What we'll do next is I'll clear my screen out. So I'll go back, and the next thing is to set up our Clark API key. So I'll quickly copy this and go back to our code and make sure on the root folder you have a .env file. I'll paste it like so. And this should be private, by the way. So this is a tutorial, that's why I'm leaving this. By the end of the series, I will get rid of this project. Alright, so the next thing to do is to install an SSR adapter. As you can see, is required for the integration to work. So this quick start uses the Node.js on, but I'll quickly go to the Astro docs and I will search for Netlify adapter. So quickly go to integrations and go to Netlify and just install this command right here. Just copy it, go back, and I'll just paste it like so. So I'll say yes. So we say yes again, and it has been added. So we can clear it out. And if we check our astro.config file now, you can see it's been imported and the adapter is showing like so. So next we'll go back to Clark and we need to add this middleware.ts to our source directory. So I'll copy this. Before I paste this on VS Code, you can see that what this Clark middleware does is that it grants you access to the user authentication state on any route. Basically, when you visit any route, it's going to run through the middleware to see if the user is authenticated to visit such route. So I'll copy this and go to our source directory. So let me close this all out first of all. Okay, so right here I will just say paste it like so, and I will copy this and paste this like so. And while we are here, let's just add some checks and basically check if the user is really or fully authenticated to visit any of the routes based on the request. So I will just open another square brackets and use an arrow function like so, and I'll pass into parameters. So this will be the first one will be the auth and the second one will be the context. So inside this I'll just say const, and I'm going to bring out extract some data from this auth argument. So I'll come here and say redirect to sign in and user ID. So what I want to do is to check if there's a user ID. If there's no user ID, so user ID, let's just return redirect so sign in. I think we don't really need this context anymore. Let me just get rid of that. So this is just a basic check, but you can make it more complex depending on your use case. So basically we're just checking using the user ID. So if there's no user ID when the user make a request to a certain route, we'll just redirect that user to a sign-in page, or a sign-in modal will pop up in order for them to sign in. So the next step is to add the Clark components to our application. So let me just expand this, and we might not use this for now. So what I would just do is to come here and go back to our header.tsx file, and in place of this we'll create a new component. I'll call this one login.tsx. I'll say rafce, and I will just cut this out and import it like so. So we say login. So if we save now and check our application just stopped for some weird reasons. So what we do, okay, it's back up now. All right, so we have the login, but just to confirm, let me go back and change it to something else. So we say logins. Okay, so it's still showing right here. All right, so what we'll do is to just import the Clark components. So essentially we'll just import some of them. So we only want this login to show when a user is signed out. So I'll get rid of this one, and let me just quickly import it first. So say import, it should be curly brackets from @Clark, Astro, and React. So bring in the sign out which component and the sign in button. So we want to first of all check if the user is signed out, or rather we want to only show this login when the user is signed out. So basically, once they are signed out, we want to show a sign in button like so. Then inside the sign in button, we want to bring in a button from shard.cn, and we'll pass in the login. And for the class name, give it a margin right of 4, translate of 1 on the y-axis. Cursor will be pointer, but I believe we already have that on the main styling for the button. And on medium devices and up, we'll set the translate to 0 back. So if I save now and go back, we should see the login button just as it is here. All right, so but I think this is too much. Let me get rid of this. Okay, so what we do is I'll leave it like so. For medium devices, I'll just get rid of the margin right as well. So if we check on smaller devices, okay, this is still too much. You know what's best? Let me just quickly get rid of it in general, so we won't be needing it at all. So it's way better like this. So let's test out the login button. If I click on login, okay, nothing is working. So let's open our DevTools. Okay, this is not related to the issue. Okay, so I think this is coming from, so let's check the astro.config file. Okay, so on this adapter we need to also set the output now to server, because by default the output is static. So I believe that's why it's not bringing up that clock component. So this is refreshing. All right, so now it's telling us to continue with Google and it's working. So what is happening right now is that it's not detecting any user ID. So I believe we have to go back to the middleware and we need to still add some protected routes. But what I will do is to come right here and I'll quickly show you how to do that. So we'll go to continue to the Astro guide. And right here, this is just the basic function they gave to us, but you can create some route matcher, and you can do that either using this is protected route like so. So, and if you're using this, you can protect routes by checking either of the following: if a user is signed in or signed out, or he has the required role. Or you can also do I think you can do is public route. So this one protects all routes in your application and defines route as public. You can use any of the above method. So basically what this one does is that it protects all the routes by default. So we might still get this, then I think we'll go with this one. So we don't want to protect all routes by default. So what we'll do is to come back to our code and I'll say create route matcher. And right here we say const is protected. Is that what they called it? Let me just copy this. So paste it like so. Then we'll leave it like this. And I think now we need the context. So I'll add the comma here. So if there's no user ID and we also don't have an is protected route, was that how it's being used? Okay, yeah, so copy this as well and paste it here. They want to redirect our user to the sign-in page. So if we check back and refresh this, we should be brought back to the home page. So if I try to log in now, I'm still not logging in, and I believe the issue is still coming from here as well. So let's see. Okay, so I see where the issue is. We also need to include the Clark integration. So we say import and we say Clark from @Clark Astro like so. Then we just add it like so. So now with this, I guess or I believe it should work. So if we go back now and click on login, okay, yeah, so it's coming up, but it's giving us this weird URL and it's taking us to a fresh page. So I don't want that. I want a modal to pop up. So what I'll do is to go to the login component pack, and inside the sign in button, we'll say the mode this time should be modal. So set it like so and save. So if we go back and test it out again and click on login, you can see we're now getting the pop-up modal, and we can now sign in with our Google account. But before I do that, what I'll just quickly do is that I want to essentially grab the current location that the user is currently on and store it on a state so that they can be redirected back to the page they were on when they signed in on sign up. So what we do is to come here and create a state called current URL. So say current URL and set current URL should be state, and it should be an empty string. All I want to do is to use the use effect that will run only once, basically whenever each of the page loads. So we want to set the current URL to the window.location.href. So we're setting it to whatever route that the user is currently on. And what we want to do now is to come here and pass in a new property called sign up force redirect, and we'll pass in the current URL like so. So now we can now log in, but let me go back to our dashboard and make sure you go to your users section or users tab right here. And currently there's no user yet, so I can connect to Google. While this is loading, you can see now that the sign up force back URL is whatever page that is currently on, so it's dynamic. So I think we are on the home page, so we'll be redirected back to the home page once everything has been working or is working fine. All right, cool. So we are no longer seeing the login, which means we are currently signed in. So let's go to dashboard and refresh. So you can now see that user that just signed in. So you can do a lot of things while you are on this your user management platform. So I can go and view profile, and I think you can edit the name. You can change the avatar as well. I think there's also some metadata, so I don't want to go into this, but there are many features that you can just add, and everything is just with a click of a button. So now we need to let the user know that they are signing by showing their profile with a drop down. So I'll go back to our code and I'll go back to our header cxs, and you know what, let me just go back to login and copy this, and I'll paste it like so, and this should be signed in. I will no longer need the sign in button. So underneath this, I'll create a new component called dashboard. So we say dashboard dot csx, or say rafce like so. So we'll go back to our header.tsx, and under this we'll use the sign in component and say only show this dashboard when a user is signed in. So now we can go back and you can see dashboard like so, but we want to make this much better. So what I will do is to go back to the dashboard, and I'll be bringing the drop down and also passing some of the user data from our Clark dashboard. So I'll go to mode toggle and I'll copy the drop down like so. And then I will just make sure that we're using empty code fragments, and I'll paste it like so. Make sure that we import all this. So we import this one. I think we don't need these ones. Replace it with something else in a bit, but let me just import this quickly, and this one as well. So we'll be using the avatar component from shardcn. So let me quickly just go to shardcn and go to components, and this one, the avatar one. So I will just copy the command like so and go to our other terminal and install this. So because I'm recording every day, shardcn is also shipping new updates as well. That's why it's telling me to install the new or latest version. So just proceed with Y as well. Alright, that has been installed. So clear that out. So we need to grab the user object on our React file. And if you can recall, Astro is server side first. So the way to do that is to go to our Clark docs and make sure Astro is our SDK. And you see this subtitle called client side helpers. So we need the client side helpers in order for us to access the user object from Clark. So there are also some for server side, and we'll go through both of them as well. So I'll click on the Clark store because this is what we'll use, and you can see that the Clark store provides a convenient way to access Clark objects. So what I will do is that I'm currently using React, so I'll basically just install this one like so, and I'll open our terminal and paste it here. So I'll say npm I like so and hit enter. Alright, that has been installed. And if you are wondering what nanostores is, it's just a tiny state management library for JavaScript that you can use for other frameworks or library as well. So what I'll do is to go back here and I'll quickly import. So let me do this above here. Say import use store like so from say at nanostores react, and let me add this to my workspace. I'll also need the use store like so from our Clark Astro client. Alright, cool. So underneath this our dashboard, you can create a user variable and say use store, which is the one from nanostore, and passing the use store like so. And this should be user store. I keep mentioning use store, so I'll just save this like so. And we also want to check if there's no user. So if there's no user, let's just return null. Then if there's a user, we just want to get the user initials to show on our UI. So I will say const get user initials, and this will be an arrow function. And we'll first of all check if the user has a first name. So, and also check if the user has a last name. So if they have a first name and a last name, we just return using backticks and open a new curly braces like so. I will say user.firstname. Make sure you're tacking onto the first name, and we are pairing the user the last name like so as well. Grabbing the first one, and let's make sure they are all converted to uppercase. But let's also add other conditions. So we say else if user has the first name or user has just the first name, let's also return the user the first name, and let's also convert it to uppercase as well. So to uppercase, and also add one more check and see if the user has a username. Then what we want to do is the same thing. So I'll copy this down and I'll change this to username like so. Else we just stop it from moving on, but at least one condition must be met. So we can save this now, and right here what we do is to get rid of this button like so, and I'll bring in the avatar. So I believe it was used as an example here, so I'll just copy it like so, paste it here, and I will import it, import the image as well, and the fallback as well. And for the main avatar, I'll give it a class name, and this should be size of 8. Translate Y should be 1, and a medium devices and up translate Y should be 0. Then for the image, what we'll just do is to give this a class name of cursor pointer, and for the source, we just get rid of everything here, and we say user.image URL. And for the fallback, this is where we want to just pass in the get user initials and just call it like so. Then for the drop down menu content, I will just change these ones right here, and I believe, let me just get rid of this one and this one. So for the styling for this, I will give this a class of block, which should be for cursor should be pointer, then the focus, then on focus the bg should be primary. And for the menu content itself, for the class name, I'll just reduce this to 4, and the width should be 170 pixels, and let's align it to the center this time. And we also don't need any on click, and inside here we'll add the a tag, and for the link we just direct this onto the account, and for the class name we'll give it a width of 4, and for this we just set this to account. So we save, and I believe I'll copy this, like, let me do this 2 more times. So this should be let me just add something here. So we'll say bookings. We might change this later on. So say bookings, and let me add, for the last one, I'll add the sign out button. So for the sign out button, we'll not use this a tag. So we'll get rid of this, and we'll bring in the sign in or sign out button rather from Astro, and this will be self-closing, and this should redirect us back to whatever page the user is currently on. So we say windows location href, and for the children, which is the actual text, we just set this to logout like so. So we can save, and if we preview it now, all right, so the image is coming in, and if we click on it, okay, we can't see the text, or we can't see that drop down, but I believe it's there. So let's get rid of this one first of all. Let's see. Okay, that didn't fix it. So we're getting a warning that function components cannot be given refs, and the issue is obviously from the avatar component that we installed. So if you click on avatar, the issue is from here. So what I will do is that I'll pull up Sublime Text where the code is the original code, and I will search for the avatar. So what you have to do is that you just need to pause this video and make sure these aligns with yours. So I'll just quickly scroll through. So just make sure this all aligns, and I'll just copy mine and close out the Sublime Text and paste it here like so. So I can save now, and if I go back, this error should be gone. Yeah, we no longer get that error anymore. So if I close this out now and I click on this, you can see now that the drop down is showing as we want. And by the way, again, if you can't copy all this, the code is available via the first link in the description. So we can now log out, and if we log out, this should also be a cursor pointer. So we can log out to test if it's working as well. You can see we are logged out now. Cool. Alright guys, that's it for this episode. In the next episode, we are going to integrate Sanity into our project.